All that doesn't matter because the final segment of the night was some of the best WWE shit I've ever seen. Edge is back, as you all know, from the Royal Rumble. He comes out to a thunderous applause. You could tell he's really emotional to be out there. There was some amazing stuff that when they actually went back and did, here's some unseen footage of Edge's return. Yeah, you mean the unseen footage, the good shit, the stuff you cut away from? Yeah, we actually have a camera on him the entire time when he comes out and he's walking down the ramp and he's overcome with emotion and super, super hyped and the crowd's going nuts and you can see him take it all in instead of cut, crowd reaction, fireworks up in the air, cut, zoom, cut, which is what they did on actually the live thing, the live show. But instead, when they show you the unseen footage, it's just an unbroken camera shot of him coming out of the dugout, running up and down, getting hacked up, looking around at the crowd, getting overcome with emotion, almost crying, and then standing there for his little pose that he does and the fireworks behind him. It's amazing. You could have just used that shot when you actually showed it on TV, on your network feed. Instead, you had to show us this fucking whatever. This time he comes out, he gives this little thing about like how it's a really great speech. Edge is so good at this. God, so many of these guys now could take just a class from like just speaking naturally. Like it just seems like he's a really normal dude who has emotions and a history and everything. It feels like a real person, not some stilted bullshit that Vince gave him to say. It just feels real. I missed Edge so much. I did not realize how much I missed him. He's so good at just being being a person. I didn't love the whole let's have sex with Lita on in the middle of the ring thing. I didn't love that section of him, but he's just real. So he talks about how he decided he doesn't do what ifs, and if anytime he says what if, he puts his mind to it and makes that shit happen. And I think that's awesome. I started feeling pretty good a couple years ago, and I said, okay, what if? And then I busted my ass to get in the best shape of my life at 46 years old, and now I'm back. I got cleared. I got a second neck surgery that unfused stuff, and he worked back to get to this point, and now he's there, right? So he's there, and he talked about all these guys that he saw again in the Royal Rumble match. Like he had seen them again, or for the first time he was in the ring with them. And he says, I really hope I see you boys further down the line. That was really cool. Options for like the future. And then Randy Orton's music hits. And we all knew it was coming. We didn't want to know it was coming. We all knew it was coming. Randy Orton comes out. And he says, man, it's so good to have you. And he told this great story that you could tell that Edge had no idea he was going to say. And it was so beautiful and added so much to the moment. This was such a fucking great segment. Randy Orton says, all those years we were traveling up and down the roads together. I'm a very impulsive person. I was even more so when I was younger. And whenever I got myself into a hole so deep that I didn't think I was going to get myself out, there was always one guy there to extend a hand and pull me out of that hole, and that was you, Edge. And this is why I get so frustrated with WWE, because they know how to do it right. As Randy Orton was telling that part of the story, the part where like somebody gave me a hand and pulled me up out of that thing, and that was you, Edge. You're my brother and all that stuff. As he was saying that, the camera was locked on Edge's reaction. And Edge was fighting so hard not to start sobbing at the memories of going up and down the roads with his buddy Randy from RKO, man. It was so obvious that he was just willing those tears to stay in his face. It was so great. And then Randy says, hey, I was just thinking, I don't know if you'd be into this. I don't know if the crowd be into this, but I was wondering, what if we got Rated RKO back together for one last run? Again, earlier in this little speech, Edge has said that he didn't know how long this was going to last. I mean, anything could happen that maybe he'd have to go back on the shelf for good this time. I mean, anything could happen with a neck injury. He could re-injure something, and something really bad could happen. So, but he knows he's got to go out on his terms. That's what he says. So, since you don't have much time left, basically, Randy says, let's form RKO. And so they're about to do a handshake, and then he hits an RKO. It's an RKO on Edge. And Edge, throughout everything that happens for the rest of this segment, is some of the best acting I've ever seen in a WWE ring. You can tell he doesn't know how badly he's hurt, but he knows he's hurt, and he doesn't know, because like things probably are tingling where they shouldn't be tingling. Like he went all the way, like what you're seeing in his eyes as he's lying there on the mat, clutching the back of his head, like wondering, shit, am I paralyzed now? What's going on? What did I do? Oh, fuck, my kids, my wife, everything. All that shit is just locked in his face. It's so fucking great. And he's there. And the whole time, again, from that moment, from the RKO on, nobody speaks a fucking word. Not the commentary, not Randy, not Edge. Pretty much nobody in the entire crowd. Nobody in San Antonio's arena, nobody is speaking. It's just silence, gasps, shocked utterances. Nobody's saying anything. There's no cheering, nothing. Because Randy Orton kind of walks around the thing, sits there with him. He like, there's this wonderful moment where he kind of like puts his hand on Edge gently. Like basically what I felt from him was, you never should have come back, brother. Like, there's something wrong with Randy Orton. There always has been. It's why I've never been able to cheer for him as a babyface whenever they decide to make him a babyface. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's something wrong with him. He has to hurt people. He has to. He has to. He can't not. He's compelled to cause violence to others. It's something ingrained in him. And so he's almost concerned for what he's about to do to a man who he just called his brother. And he goes and gets a chair. He puts Edge's head inside the chair, and he gets up on the second rope, and he sits there on the top rope with his feet on the second rope. He was going to jump down and Pillmanize him off the second rope, but he can't do it. He reconsiders. This is such good shit. And he gets down and he lovingly takes Edge's head out of the chair and throws the chair out of the ring. And he gets out and he's about to go up and he runs back over to the scoring table. He gets two chairs. He puts one down, rolls Edge over on top of it. Edge has been motionless this whole fucking time. And then he puts his head on top of it and he does the concerto, the old thing where he hits the chair, the head, he hits Edge's head with head lying on the chair, whatever. Unassisted concerto, which, of course, Edge pioneered, which is a lovely fucking touch. And then we go off the air because Edge gets hit with a concerto and his whole body shudders. Oh, that was fucking brutal. Oh, so good. And and then later, and you find this on YouTube, you should watch it if you haven't. They do an aftermath video. It's about 6.5 minutes long, I believe, of Randy like watching what he's done, looking at his friend crumpled, like laid out on the laid out. As the medics come out, they put him on a stretcher. They immobilize his head. First thing Randy does is he gets up on the turnbuckle to do his little pose that he does. The crowd is dead silent. They keep cutting to children in the audience who could not have possibly been alive when Edge last wrestled. 7-year-olds, and they're horrified. They don't know who Edge is. They can't really know who he is. Maybe they saw some of the matches on the network. Maybe their dad told them something about him, but they don't know who he is. But they're in it now. They're in it now. Watching this shit. Those are the crowd cutaways that make sense. Anyway, Randy does his pose. He hops down. He does his pose. Nobody cheers for him. He hops down. Gets out of the ring. And I swear to God, if you run it back, you can watch him do one of these. Where he takes 2 hands, one under each eye, and wipes away tears. Doing this to Edge caused him to cry. Fucking great. So then he slowly trudges up the stage. Eventually, they get him immobilized, put him on a backboard Edge. They put him on a gurney. They wheel him up, and he's being wheeled through the back. And old faces from before start showing up. R-Truth, who was around in WWE when Edge left. Rey Mysterio, who was part of the SmackDown 6 with Edge, certainly was there for Edge's biggest run. And he says, I'm scared, Ray. Where's Natty? This is going to get me friggin' choked up because Natty's there. And Edge is doing such a great job of acting this whole time. It's so good. He says, where's Natty? He said, Natty's right here. She's right here. He said, tell her to call Beth. He needs it to be Natty. God, this is why I'm so passionate about wrestling, because it has the capability of moving me to tears. I don't cry at movies. This is real shit. This felt real. This felt like this is goddamn Greek tragedy. This is 2 brothers. One cannot stand the adulation that his old brother has coming back, the prodigal son. How dare you get all the adulation from these throngs of fans? That shouldn't be me. They should be cheering for me. I love you, but I have to kill you. It's so fucking great. It's Shakespearean. I love it. But he says, where's Natty? Natty, tell Natty to call Beth. Beth. What he's saying is, my wife needs to hear it from Natty, her best friend. Tell her to call Beth. Tell Natty to tell Beth I'm okay. Which, of course, is a fucking lie. But it's so moving to get him in the thing. And you can tell, this is the thing, I had the same thought as everybody did. Where is everybody? Somebody come down to the ring and stop Randy from doing this to Edge. Where is everybody? I don't know where everybody else was, but I loved the touch of Ryder and Hawkins, the Edgeheads, showing up at the ambulance going, what happened? They're all bundled up. They've got their hats on and their gloves like they just came from outside. They weren't at the arena. They didn't have a match scheduled. Why would they be there? They just showed up. So there's a reason why they weren't there. They wrote that shit into the damn backstage shit. That's so great. This is why I get so worked up when the writing is lazy and stupid and moronic and insulting to our intelligence and condescending, because they have the capability, somewhere in the back, they have the capability of telling stories as good, as rich as this. And they choose not to. Maybe it's so when something as great as this happens, it looks even better by comparison. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. This is some of the best WWE shit I've ever seen was this. And now, where I was like, meh, I don't know if I need to see an Edge versus Randy Orton match. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if Edge like put over some young talent that really needs it? Yeah, it would. And maybe he'll be around for SummerSlam to do that. But right now, Edge is going to get some vengeance on Randy Orton. And by the way, Randy Orton never works for me as a babyface. Now he's as heelish as they fucking come. Now, you're talking about like real heels, the guys you want to see get their asses kicked. Randy Orton. Now I'm in. I need to see Edge beat Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I need to see it now. Somebody said on Twitter that it made Edge look weak. I think what I got from it was that at the beginning, after the one RKO, it was more fear of the unknown, of what. It's been a long time since he took an RKO kind of a bump. He didn't take real bumps. Not real ones, not real bumps in the Royal Rumble. An RKO that targeting basically the stuff that he got surgery on, that could be really scary for him. So he was scared of what had just happened, and he didn't know. He didn't want to make it worse by getting up and maybe even taking another one. Better to sit there and hope that everything's going to be okay. So he's going to be gone for a while. But when he comes back, all he's going to want to do is get vengeance on Randy Orton. I'm going to be so fucking here for it, you guys. So you know how passionate I get when I talk about the things I really hate, and how I just start yelling about it. Obviously, from this, you can tell I get equally passionate about the things I love about wrestling. How many times have you seen me get really angry about the shit that I hate? Like every week, right? 2-3 times a week. This is the one time so far, since I've been doing this since October, the one time so far where I get this adamant about it. But wrestling can still do it. And that's why I'll never stop watching it. On the off chance that wrestling gives us this, I need to be a part of it. So that was Raw. That was the assassination of Edge by the coward Randy Orton.